local shrine. And because there was even a follower of Jesus, Antipas, who got killed for following Jesus there in that city. So was it a Roman-sponsored persecution? Was it a mob, that murdered him? We don't, the story's not told. So the point is that these churches, communities of Jesus, are facing the forces of the Satan, the devil, and he's trying to inspire them with a vision of reality where Jesus is the real victor and cosmic king. And that brings us to the next key part of the book, was in chapters 4 and 5, which is all about a vision of the heavenly temple. It's inspired by all of the same visions from the Hebrew Bible. But the God figure on the throne has a scroll that unlocks all the mysteries of history and God's purpose, and no one can open it. It's like, who can understand what God has in store? Where's God taking the show? And then this lamb shows up, with his throat slit, but it's called the Lion from the tribe of Judah, and it's a symbol of the risen Jesus. And the lamb can take the scroll and open it up. And so it's a vision that the real cosmic king is this crucified, risen Jesus on the divine throne. He's the one directing history towards its purpose, not the Satan who's hijacked human history with the power of the dragon. So what happens from here in Revelation chapter 6 through 16 is 4 series of 7 things. And he cycles through them. And there's 7 seals of the scroll. Then there's 7 trumpets that get blasted. Then there are 7 signs or symbols that John sees. And then there are 7 bowls that get poured out. And what I want to focus on is that third set of 4 that are in chapters 12 to 14, the 7 signs. And every one of them, well, people debate if it's one big, long sequence.
The 7 signs?
All of these sets of 7.
Oh, all sets.
Or is each pass through the 7 a different way of thinking about the same sequence of events? Just exploring it with different symbols and so on.
Okay.
So anyway, the video goes into more detail for all of that. But it's the 7 signs, and really just chapter 12 is where we want to focus, because for the first time, John introduces the figure of the dragon here in chapter 12, and the dragon's going to play a role and be on the scene until he's escorted off the stage in chapter 20. Now, whether or not he's a new character, because he's already introduced the Satan in the letters to the 7 churches. So, I think maybe we should just read it.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be all crystal clear.
Yeah, totally.
You just read it.
Yeah, totally. Okay. I'm going to work with the NIV. A great sign appeared in the heavens. A woman clothed with the sun, with the moon under her feet, and a crown of 12 stars on her head. She was pregnant. She cried out in pain, and she was about to give birth. Then another sign appeared in heaven, an enormous red dragon with 7 heads and 10 horns and 7 crowns on its heads. Its tail swept a third of the stars out of the sky, flung them to the earth.
Okay, let's stop.
Okay.
That was a lot. Well, okay, so the one thing that really stood out to me was the 7 heads and 10 horns. That's the exact image of Daniel's beast, right?
Yeah, when Daniel's 4 monsters that crawled up out of the dark, chaotic ocean, if you add up all the heads and horns of all the 4 animals together,
adding them all up,
you get 7 and 10.
That's what it was, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the super beast.
Yeah, the mega monster.
This is the mega monster.
Yeah.
As one monster, a red dragon.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in Daniel, it's like, hey, how do we imagine death and chaos? It's gotten so out of hand. It's so entwined with spiritual forces and with human evil, just everything together. Like, to imagine it, we have to imagine these 4 beasts that are like combine the mega beast in here. We're just riffing on that.
Yeah. Now, so this is key, because in the sequence of 7 things that he sees, he's going to actually see 2 more monsters.
Oh, okay.
Actually, so this will be, the first is he sees the big red dragon, 7 heads, 10 horns, 7 crowns on its head. Let's pause. This thing, when we turn to chapter 13, we meet and see this. And the dragon stood on the sand of the sea shore.
That's his domain. So he's at the border.
The border. And I saw a beast coming up out of the sea.
Oh, another beast.
Having 10 horns and 7 heads.
Oh.
And on its horns were 10 crowns, and on his heads were blasphemous names. The beast I saw was like a leopard, but with feet like a bear, and his mouth like a lion. And the dragon gave him his power and throne and authority.
Okay. So we're dealing with multiple beasts like Daniel.
So note, there's only one dragon. And this dragon gives power to this monster. It's like his doppelganger.
Yeah, psychic.
Yeah. So it's sort of like the dragon was in the heavens. And now here's an earthly mirror, the corresponding earthly beast, so to speak. And this thing gets its power from the dragon. And it's like the dragon. It also has 7 heads and 10 horns and crowns. But then it's also clearly a earth creature And he alludes to the animals of Daniel's dreams. Leopard, it's like a bear, it's like a lion. So he's almost certainly referring here to the actual like human Rome or Jerusalem or something else, depending on your meta view of how to interpret the revelation. An earthly kingdom.
Earthly kingdom.
That's an earthly human manifestation.
And so was Daniel.
Exactly. Actually, the beasts of Daniel's dreams were called human kings and kingdoms. That's right. Yeah. But what John has done is he's actually split out the dragon
from
as a spiritual being,
and
then the beast, which is its earthly, imperial, institutional
because
manifestation.
in Daniel's vision of the four beasts, none were a dragon, actually.
Correct. That's exactly right.
We were just kind of, because they came out of the sea, we were saying, okay, this is a way to imagine the dragon. And I started to think of like, okay, we're imagining the dragon, but we're like turning up and just like mixing and making even a monster more chaotic than a dragon to just play up like this thing has gotten real out of hand.
That's right. Yeah.
And what you're saying is, okay, so we've got that, but now let's imagine that there is a dragon, but he's not coming out of the sea, like he's so in league with spiritual beings. He's in the heavens.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he's giving the sea dragon its power.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to create a meta frame here.
Yeah.
We've got the dragon in the beginning in the sea. It just represents death.
Yep.
And Daniel, we got the beast coming out of the chaotic ocean, which you think, oh, here's the dragon, but actually they're human kingdoms that are beastly kingdoms.
That's right.
Okay.
Monster-like. Yep.
And what gives those things their power?
Yeah.
Well, it's the dragon.
It's the snake that is a spiritual being that has put on the dragon.
Put on the dragon. Okay.
So this
crystal clear.
Well, but it kind of is. In other words, John, he's a Bible nerd, so he can see that there's a snake that puts on and using the guise of the dragon and its power of death to deceive the humans into forfeiting their rule over the land and giving their imaginations and their future to the snake. And now the snake rules them outside of Eden. And that's what Daniel is drawing on. Then remember the Cain and Abel narrative, which was about how the snake then works in the imagination of Cain. If God exalts my brother, that means I'll never be exalted. And then he uses the power of the dragon to kill his brother to get what he wants. So now humans are ruled by the power of the dragon's persuasion, so to speak. And then Cain goes on, he builds a city and becomes the founder of the city of man and their kingdoms. And so now we have human kingdoms inspired by the power of the snake. When Daniel's monsters come up later out of the ocean, he's mostly thinking about the Cain-like human monsters, which is why they're identified as kings.
I see.
In Daniel 7. Daniel doesn't really highlight the spiritual mirror of the ruler in heaven. That's, get to Isaiah, Ezekiel develops that. And John has created one account where they are now all together.
Got it.
So there's a dragon in the heavens, and then there's monsters on the earth. And they mirror each other in strange ways.
Yeah.
But the ones on the earth are not dragons, they're just beasts.
Yeah.
And the ones in the heavens is not a beast, it's a dragon.
Okay, cool.
But they mirror each other. So and
it is surprisingly clear.
yeah. Once you get the symbols.
Yeah. I still don't know what the woman is.
Oh yeah, we'll go back to talk about the woman. I'm just trying to focus on the monsters.
Yeah.
So the beast that just came up that has 7 heads and 10 horns, like the dragon. John goes on to say, the whole earth was amazed and followed after that beast. They worshipped the dragon because he gave his authority to the beast, and they worshipped the beast, saying, who is like the beast? So he's poking fun at depending on which bad guy. Let's go with the Roman Empire interpretation. But it could apply to whatever other thing you think the Revelation is referring to. But he's referring to people giving their allegiance to human power structures, and then who is able to wage war like him? So if we go with the Roman Empire actually conceived and described itself as a manifestation of the goddess Roma's power on the land. And it was deified, which is why you swear allegiance to it. It's why you die for it. It's why you worship Roma, and therefore the Roman Empire. And so what John sees is just a huge death beast that just chews up humans and spits them out.
Yeah.
And it's inspired by the dragon. And if you give your allegiance to the beast, you're actually giving your allegiance to the dragon above. Yeah, that's how he sees it.
The mirror.
Yeah. But we're not done, because that's just one aspect of the earth beast.
Okay.
There's, verse 11, another beast coming up out of the earth. So the first one came out of the sea.
Beast part 2.
Yeah, this is coming up out of the underworld.
Oh, okay.
And he had 2 horns like a lamb. You're like, oh, like a little lamb growing horns.
Yeah. That's kind of like the typical way we think of Satan's...
Yeah, that's right, the goat.
The goat.
Yeah, the goat horns, yeah, totally. So he had 2 horns like a lamb, but he spoke like a dragon. And he exercises, this is verse 12, he uses all the authority of the first beast in his presence. And he makes everybody worship the first beast. He does signs and wonders, and so on. So what many people think is what John is doing is he's splitting out the military power of this whatever empire he's describing, animated by the dragon, and then also the economic and propaganda machine. This is the beast that makes everybody take the mark of the beast.
Oh, the second beast.
Yep.
Beast of the earth.
Yep, 666 on their hands and foreheads and so on.
So one interpretation is this is the same beast depicted as two different beasts.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
same reality depicted as two beasts.
Yeah, one out of the chaos sea, and then one up out of the grave, or out of the underworld.
Both two ways to think about human power structures that have gone awry.
Yeah, and both animated by the dragon.
Both are
One
animated by
speaks like a dragon,
Yeah.
one is given it power by the dragon.
Yeah.
So now you have three monsters,
Mhm.
but they're all connected as this unholy trinity. And that's another surely part of the reason why he has broken into three,
Okay.
is as an anti-trinity
Wow.
from Father, Son, and Spirit.
Wow. Okay.
It's wild.
Wild is a great word for it.
Yeah. So, what I want to go back to is chapter 12. And
When we
let's,
first met the dragon,
yeah, but I just wanted to show how the dragon also has
the counterparts.
the earthly counterparts, and why it's broken into two because of the unholy trinity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tweedledee and Tweedledum.
So, something like that is fantastic.
The much more horrendous version of that.
Okay, so what we had was a pregnant woman
Yes,
clothed
the
with
woman.
sun, moon, and 12 stars on her head, about to give birth.
Okay,
Up
so
up in the sky.
the woman
Mhm.
clothed with the sun and the moon. So I'm thinking spiritual being here because the moon and the sun represents the rulers of the sky.
Mhm.
So if she's clothed with that, it feels like we're talking
Yes.
like a spiritual being of some sort.
So important here is this little line right here. A woman clothed with the sun, moon, and stars is taken right from Joseph's dream
Hmm.
in the Genesis scroll. The first dream that Joseph had, that he tells his brothers and then his dad, was that I had a dream and the sun, moon, and stars were bowing down to me. So this is the heavenly host bowing down to an exalted human ruler. That's the first time you have this idea of a human up in the heavens, so on.
Okay.
So what's interesting here is this is not the sun, moon, and stars bowing down to the woman, but rather the woman herself is clothed with the heavenly lights and 12 stars around her head. So there's actually a deep rabbit hole here about the 12 signs of the zodiac and star symbolism and how much of that John is drawing upon here. So what I want to highlight primarily is the echoes to the Hebrew Bible that John is working with here. So what this woman's going to do is give birth to the Messiah, but then have a whole bunch of other children that are persecuted by the dragon. The dragon wants to kill them all. So it's hard not to see some kind of Eve and 12 tribes of Israel being echoed here.
Mhm.
When I say it's hard not to see, what I mean is
That's what you see.
there seems to be, yep. But then also the fact that she gives birth to the Messiah makes one think of Mary,
Right.
and then of the 12 apostles,
Hmm.
who are the icon of the new or the renewed messianic people of God. And we know that the 12 tribes of Israel and the apostles will both get drawn upon numerically as sets of 12 later on in the book. And people debate whether it's one or the other, or perhaps it symbolizes both. But it's written in the stars. So she's pregnant and about to give birth, and then there's another dragon up there.
Sorry, where did we learn that she gives birth to other kids?
Oh, later.
Later,
We'll keep
okay.
reading, yeah. But she's going to become the mother of both the Messiah
Okay.
and of a bunch of other kids.
Okay.
Yeah. So its tail swept a third of the stars out of the sky and flung them to the earth. So this popular interpretation, at least in my experience, gets turned into an image of the devil falling from heaven
Mhm.
with a third of the angels.
Yeah.
That is almost certainly not what it
Oh, perfect.
referred to.
Really?
Yeah. So that's fascinating. Here, this line, sweeping a third of the stars out of the sky, flinging them to the land, comes right from Daniel chapter 8,
Right.
describing one of the monsters, in particular
Oh,
that
yeah.
arrogant horn.
Oh, yeah.
And in Daniel 8, verse 10, what we read is that horn, so this is the horn of one of the monsters.
The fourth monster.
Well, actually, this is in Daniel 8.
Oh.
The fourth monster becomes just its own, but it's of a ram and a he-goat. And the he-goat,
We didn't read this one.
we never read it. Yeah, but it's another monstrous creature with a huge horn, doing the same stuff as the fourth beast.
Okay.
Yeah, and what that horn, the one horn that came up out of the fourth beast in Daniel 7, now that horn grows up out of another monster in Daniel 8, and in Daniel 8 verse 10, it grew up to the host of heaven and caused some of the host and some of the stars to fall to the earth, and it trampled them down. And what you learn is that this is referring to a human king that
The horn. Or the
yep, the
beast.
horn, yeah, it's explicitly identified as a human king that exalts itself as a deity and makes war and persecutes the people of the holy ones of the Most High, which are actual Israelites, like living in Jerusalem. But there's this mirror in Daniel of the war on earth between the human monsters and God's people is mirrored by a heavenly battle.
So to take out people on earth is taking out stars.
That's right, yeah. So, in other words, John is referring to this line right here. So, by sweeping a third of the stars out of the sky and flinging them to the earth is a reference to a heavenly war,
A heavenly war
heavenly
that,
conflict. Yes,
that is mirroring an earthly conflict.
correct. And now, this is why there's actually 3 panels to Revelation 12. Whether we finish reading them, we'll see. Probably not at this speed. But there's 3 panels, and each one of them is actually retelling a story 3 times over.
Okay.
So the point is, this is a battle scene,
Okay.
not the dragon bringing stars down to the earth with itself. Okay. So the dragon was standing in front of the woman, who was about to give birth, because it wanted to devour the child the moment it was born. And she gave birth to a son, a male child, who will rule the nations with an iron scepter.
Don't you?
Yes, comes right out of Psalm 2. Her child, however, was snatched up to God into his throne, and the woman fled into the wilderness to a place prepared for her by God, where she was taken care of for 3.5 years, or 1,260 days. So feels like the story's over. You know,
Yeah.
wow, glad that worked out.
Yeah.
So
Right away.
she gave birth to a messianic figure, and the dragon didn't get him. He was exalted up to heaven to a throne.
Mhm.
And then that leaves the woman down on the land, where God's going to take care of her and protect her from the dragon for 3.5 years. Okay. Next.
Next panel.
And a war broke out in heaven. So the question is, does this follow sequentially? Or is this whole panel going up and giving more development of that
The stars being
the
flung.
stars being... How did that happen?
Hmm.
Let's back up and double click on the stars. Okay. Well, there's a war in heaven, and Michael, whose name means who is like El, who's like God. So you've got a lead angelic figure and his angels fighting against the dragon, and the dragon and his angels fighting back. But the dragon wasn't strong enough. They lost their place in the skies. The dragon was hurled down, that ancient serpent called the Diabolos, the Satan, who leads the whole world astray. He was hurled to the earth with his angels with him. Then I heard a loud voice in heaven say, "Now have come the salvation and power and kingdom of our God, the authority of his Messiah. The accuser of our brothers and sisters, the one accusing them before God day and night, has been hurled down. They, that is our brothers and sisters, triumphed over him by the blood of the Lamb and the word of his testimony. They didn't love their lives, even to shrink back from death." Okay, here we go.
Yeah.
So the dragon has been inspiring those on the land to use death as this tool to
Yeah.
persuade them.
You love your life. You need to protect it.
Yes.
You love what you have.
hmm
You love what you think you deserve.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
fight for it.
Fight for it. The dragon will help you. The dragon will inspire you to fight for what is
And-
most valuable. That is your life and your family.
And empower you.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay,
But-
so that's a cool line.
Yeah, that's an important... Yeah, it is. And you triumph over the dragon by the blood of the Lamb.
Right.
So the blood meaning his death,
Sacrifice.
but primarily to the death of Jesus. And of the Lamb, that it was a death for others. Yeah. But if you triumph by the blood, what it means is that you've added your blood next to his.
Really?
I mean, martyrs.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Because remember, that's what he referred to back at the beginning.
Mm.
Of you overcome the Satan by, even if it means letting them kill you.
Which is what he's talking about, stringing to death. Like you stood up to death and you said, "Bring it."
Yep.
Oh.
So this is, the Roman arenas,
Yeah.
the lions, all that stuff. So that double click of the heavenly war resulted in the Satan, and then, he's got a crew. You have Michael and his angels, and then you have the Satan and his crew. So here, John is for sure read or heard other Jewish apocalypses that took all the stuff we've been sessioning in the Hebrew Bible and in Second Temple Jewish literature, really developed, especially the heavenly players.
This is where you get Michael as like a character.
Yeah, he appears in the Hebrew Bible like once or twice.
Okay.
So here in other Second Temple apocalypses, there's so many, but the Enoch literature, Jubilees, the Apocalypse of Abraham, Fourth Ezra, Second Baruch, there's all these works, and John was at least familiar with the traditions in them.
Yeah.
And they really filled out, using the Hebrew Bible and then following the rabbit holes, as it were, to fill out the players. So there's some earthly battle that has a heavenly counterpart, and Michael and his angels win, and their counterparts on earth win through the blood of the Lamb and not loving their lives so as to shrink back from death.
So the battle in heaven that Michael's and his angels are winning, you're saying is mirrored by a battle on earth, which is depicted not as these followers of Jesus defeating their enemies, but actually being defeated.
Letting their enemies kill them because they believe in the resurrection from the dead. Yeah, and that's my little addition to the logic here, but that's it.
Well.
So, actually, dying as a follower of Jesus, verse 12, should bring, paradoxically, in this apocalyptic reversal, it's a reason to rejoice.
It's a victory in the skies.
Yeah, rejoice, you heavens, and you who dwell in them. But woe to the earth and the sea, because the devil has gone down to you. He is furious, and he knows that his time is short. So let's read the third panel. I think we're going to do it. We can maybe read the whole chapter.
Let's do it.
So when the dragon saw that he had been hurled to the earth, he chased the woman. Because remember, she was out in the wilderness.
Yeah, 3.5 years.
Protecting the earth, yeah. So then he pursued her, the one who had given birth to the male child. The woman, however, was given the 2 wings of a great eagle. Sweet. So she could fly to a place prepared for her in the wilderness, where she'd be taken care of for a time, 2 times, and half a time.
This is the other 3.5.
Another 3.5, yep. Out of the serpent's reach. Now check this. The serpent, out of his mouth, spewed waters like a river to overtake the woman, to sweep her away with the torrent.
It's like a new sea, like a new chaos waters.
Yeah, it's sort of like the dragon comes out of the waters.
Yeah, spits the waters out.
But now it can use the flood decreation waters as a weapon to kill. But the land helped the woman. It opened its mouth and swallowed up the river that the dragon spewed out of his mouth. So the flood story in Genesis begins by the earth opening up and the flood waters coming out. And now here's the dragon releasing a flood, and the earth opens it up, but then to take the waters back in. It's like a reverse flood.
That's cool.
Yeah. Then the dragon was mad at the woman. It went off to wage war against the rest of her offspring, the rest of her seed, those who keep God's commands and hold fast their testimony about Jesus.
So who's the woman?
So the woman's the mother of the Messiah.
Yeah.
And the mother of the rest of her offspring. So
the woman a way to think about like all humanity?
So let's pause. First, this whole chapter is dramatizing Genesis 3:15, which is God said to the snake, there will be hostility between you and the woman,
between the seed of the snake, and
between your seed and her seed, but he, that is the seed of the woman, will crush your head, and you, that is the snake, will strike or crush his heel. So this is like
So this is the woman and her seed.
But her seed has 2 references. The singular seed of like the Messiah snake crusher, and then 2, the rest of the seed who follow in the way of the messianic seed.
Right, and what we looked at in last episode was when Paul thinks of that promise of crushing the head of the snake, he refers to, you all will crush.
Yeah, may the God who brings peace crush the Satan under y'all's feet.
Right.
Yeah, so he's tapping into the same idea.
That Jesus did it as the seed, but then the people of Jesus do it too.
Yeah,
as
so
the seed.
It seems like, so the woman is a Eve, and then the children of Eve, which in the Hebrew Bible gets focused down to the seed of Abraham, that is the family of Israel. But then there's also this woman births the Messiah, which is true of Israel. Jesus is an Israelite. But it's also hard not to see some kind of way of imagining the cosmic significance of a Jewish teenage girl named Mary, who gave birth to Jesus. And then she was a crucial part of the leadership and founding circle of Jesus' followers that are the followers of Jesus. So some scholars want to nail down the symbol. The woman is the church, or the woman is Israel. I think the image is more fluid, but I'm also not a Revelation expert. So if I sat with it for a lot more time, I might have more clarity, personally. But either way, you get, it's a Eve, Israel, Mary, and Messianic.
Yeah, the anointed ones.
Yeah.
And the woman who births them.
Yeah, that's right. Versus the dragon.
And
his crew.
Yeah.
Which began as heavenly sky rulers, but were exiled after introducing conflict in the heavenly realm, and now wreaking havoc through their weapon and fear of death on the land. And man, it's a bad time to be an earthling if you're in the realm of the snake, because they'll trick you into embracing death as life, and life is death. And then the timeline here is that we're in this in-between period where the messianic male child has been exalted and enthroned in the heavens. The dragon and his crew are wreaking havoc down below. And the woman and her children find themselves in this conflict with the dragon and his forces. And the way that you gain victory over the dragon is to, through the blood of the Lamb, to not love your life so as to shrink back from death. And again, back to that's kind of the key line for this theme we've been following here. Yeah.
Which feels so, in some ways, kind of trite, just to like be like, yeah, just don't shrink back from death.
Yeah. Let's sit in that for a minute as we close here.
I mean, he wanted their imaginations to be changed in such that your death is a victory in the sky. And if you start to flee from death, you're actually just giving power over to the dragon.
Yeah, what does it mean to flee from death? It means to make decisions based on my fear of death to avoid it, or to avoid the reality that I'm going to die. And death as a symbol has all these other things attached to it. Loss, pain, anxiety,
It's all sorts of deaths.
scarcity. Yeah.
There's like the ultimate death, which it's talking about here. And I think for most of the history of the world, that was like
the motivator.
You thought about that every day. Like we don't. But I think in most human history, like at any moment, plague, war, famine is around the corner. Literally will just wipe us out.
Yeah. And a sober, aware human being knows that even in times of stability and peace, that is a reality and it's out there.
And all of its like kind of tentacly arms that's associated with it, which is security.
Yeah.
Feeling like you have enough. It can be as simple as like, do I have enough margin today to like do what I think I need to get done? Are people treating me with enough respect? Do I have enough honor? Like it's all associated with our fear of death, even though it isn't specifically a fear of dying.
Yeah. It's interesting. We live in a West Coast city in America, and I had a friend was a pastor who was, I forget if he read a book or if this was his phrase, but he was talking about how in his church community he wants to begin conversations about the American cult of self-care. And it's kind of a way of, a satire on a half-truth. Because it is really true that we have limits, and you can begin to structure and live your life in patterns and ways that just are emotionally unhealthy.
Yeah.
It goes against the grain of your
Sometimes you need just a glass of water and a nap.
That's right.
That's really true.
Yeah. But what's fascinating is that a very important truth about knowing your limits and drawing boundaries about what you do can get preyed upon by the market. In a
god of self-care.
Yes, but in capitalist society, that creates a market for the desire of self-care.
Yeah.
And now
you need a cream.
There are more Yes.
You don't use a glass of water, you need a cream.
Yes, you need a cream. And again, it's just saying like, now all of a sudden we're in this environment where I can spend so much money and so much, probably more time than I need on self-care. But feel like, I'm just doing what's the right healthy thing to do. And it might be that's true, but I might also be doing it in huge excess of like what I need. And really what I'm doing is indulging selfishness. And the wisdom it takes to discern the difference between self-care and indulgence is going to be different for every person. But ultimately what I'm trying to stave off is death, which is the ultimate limiter of my existence, like the ultimate boundary of expending my energy. And so I find that for myself, even in little things, little, whatever you call them, there's a little phrase.
Oh, creature comforts.
Creature comforts, yes. And those are little ways that we shrink back from death.
Right.
I'm just trying to say it's not just about whether you're in a culture where it's illegal to be a follower of Jesus and your life's at stake.
Right.
There are brothers and sisters all over the planet who are in that situation, which is much more like what John, the visionary, is addressing. But it's also true that in any cultural setting, we are all shrinking back out of fear of death in a million small, medium, and large ways. And what does it mean to resist that?
What you're not saying is don't take care of yourself.
No, it's not what I'm saying. As I sip my fine Portland coffee, I'm not saying that.
Right. But it is the wisdom of knowing at what point am I using wisdom so that I am a body.
Yeah.
And so I need to take care of my body so that I can then be a good human in this world. But we were talking about how the power of death is the Satan, and when he comes to wield it, what he does is he distorts truth.
Yes.
And he says, I'm going to show you how to be wise, but it's not by listening to God. It's going to be taking it on your own terms. And so there's this subtle deception that leads to death, which is, yes, I need to take care of myself. But that can then also turn into a way of being in the world, which is now all about me and all about taking care of me.
Yep.
And suddenly I'm like becoming a dragon.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. All kinds of things down that road. Yeah.
Okay.
Including substance abuse,
Mhm.
out of when I think I'm helping myself, where in fact I'm just hooking myself on these comforts that I all of a sudden, like 5-10 years go by and it's like, I need this stuff. And that's the power of the dragon. I think I'm doing good, but I need to always be wise because I might actually be doing long-term harm to myself and others, or feeding the dragon.
What was Paul's line? Be wise about what is good
and innocent about evil.
about evil.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, in Romans 16.
That's how he's kind of fighting the dragon. Wise about what is good
Yeah.
and innocent about what is evil.
Yeah. Yeah. So what does it mean to not shrink back from fear of death and to gain victory over the dragon in our own lives personally, in our neighborhoods, in our communities of following Jesus? It's going to look so different in different seasons. But there's a common theme in trusting that the power of the dragon truly was taken away on Easter morning in the empty tomb and through the risen Jesus, and that all creation is headed for an empty tomb resurrection destiny. And if that's the telos, yeah, and if that's reality, then what it can do is inspire imaginations to truly live as if the dragon is powerless over me and over the people I care about and over our world. It's a hard thing to believe.
Yeah.
But that's the journey.
There's this one little nuance I wanted to address, and it's about the death and resurrection of Jesus. We talked about Jesus going into the belly of death, and that's the belly of the sea dragon,
The beast,
the
monster. Yeah.
And so Jesus rising from the dead, Paul calls it the first fruits. He's defeated death in that he's come out of the belly.
Yeah.
But is it that is the nuance here, while Jesus has defeated death, like death is still around, and I too will go through into the belly of death.
Yes.
And so when Paul says, death, where is your victory, where's your sting? I mean, that's going to still hurt.
Yep.
But when he says what the victory is, like death won't be able to keep me in its belly.
That's right. Yeah, so while Paul locates the victory in the resurrection, what John the Visionary has done is he's taken the victory and imported it back even into the death. The act of dying as
it's the way
follower of Jesus. Yeah, but that's part of his pastoral goal in writing what he did to a group of churches where people are dying for following Jesus. And so he's trying to say that if you die as a follower of Messiah, it's your victory. Your death is your victory. And Paul would say, yes, and the resurrection is the victory. And that's Paul's emphasis, but they're just two sides of the same coin. But you're right, like, death is both an enemy. It's not like death is your friend, like it's going to be fun. But it is ultimately powerless over me and over where the whole cosmos is headed. What death does have a hold on is what Paul will call the schema of this world, the current form, the current mode of existence that it has. But its ultimate real self, and my real self, is destined for new creation, where the dragon has no power.
And the prophecy is crushing the head. But then the reality is going through the belly.
Ooh, yeah.
And I feel like there's something interesting there about,
it is.
Like, you want Jesus to crush the head, but the way that he's going to defeat is through the belly. And it's going through death. The victory is through death.
The victory is, through death and resurrection.
Into resurrection.
Yeah, and that's kind of joining Paul and John's emphasis there. It's interesting, this is maybe back for our last conversation on Paul, but Paul does acknowledge there will be some small number out of all of the followers of Jesus through history who are alive when
the Messiah comes.
When Jesus comes, a new creation like crashes into earth. And so they'll be like Enoch or Elijah.
Yeah.
Like, because
they don't go through death.
They won't have to go through death. He calls it the twinkling of an eye. So Paul creates that category. Says that'll be true of some Jesus followers at some point. But for most of us, more than likely, we're going to have to go through the belly of the beast. That has no ultimate power over our destiny.
Well, shouldn't.
But it has power over the thing I call my body, and that makes me really afraid. And I guess that's the journey of disciplining, aka discipling my imagination into the Christian story.
Well, May the God of peace crush Satan under your feet.
Yeah. Amen.
Okay, we did it. We just finished a long journey through the theme of the Chaos Dragon in the story of the Bible. I hope you enjoyed it. And I hope you watched the video that we made on the Chaos Dragon. You can find it on our website, BibleProject.com, and on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/BibleProject. But the chaos is not over. We actually have a special guest next week to talk more about the Chaos Dragon from a very unique angle. We have Tracy Caldwell Dyson, a NASA astronaut who has already served a 6-month tour on the International Space Station and is blasting off next year to do it again. How does the unique vantage point from space help us appreciate God's protection over the planet? And then after that, we'll do one final question and response episode for the Chaos Dragon. We love hearing your questions and we love responding to them. The Bible Project is a crowd-funded nonprofit, and we exist to experience the Bible as a unified story that leads to Jesus. And everything that we make is free because it's already been paid for by thousands of people just like you. Thank you so much for being a part of this with us.
Hi, this is Ross, and I'm from Birmingham, Alabama.
Hi, this is Vicky, and I'm from Nairobi, Kenya. I first heard about Bible Project from YouTube. I use Bible Project for learning and meditating.
I first heard about Bible Project from a friend while I was at college. I used Bible Project to increase my reading competency of the Bible by learning its context and seeing it as ancient literature. And honestly, it's kind of the go-to topic with my friends these days.
My favorite thing about Bible Project is the point of
Mhm. Okay. Hey, hey. Go. Go on. Go. Move it.
the neighbors can see it, what I do. 'Cause everybody needs a secret, and everybody needs a sin. We could all get richer than rich man if we wanted to market them. When you leave, it's so amazing I can find my way. Going to the mall, gonna spray paint in my angry red skull on the front steps enter the
Beardo, I'm eating lunch now.
But that's men. That's something we like to do. We like to say we f***ed your mom. Every man in this room has said, I f***ed your mom. Right? You play Xbox. You know, you don't say it anymore, but you have said it, and then you have kids, and you can say it again. Junior Steve, you know? Oh, I got, were you there the whole time? You doing a Zen? Hopping a Zen? Yeah, dude. This guy has said, I fucked your mom for sure. You go, dude. What, you got gauges? Oh, you're a dirtbag. I love that. Yeah, what do you do? Construction? Army. See? Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, I know. Oh, Army. Okay, cool. I was gonna say you mom kids, but sure. Oh, yeah. It was good. On your hand. The respect you get for getting D's in high school. I could never. God bless you. Thank you for doing whatever it is you did over there. Did you have like a army or like a army? What kind of army were you? MP of cop. You're still back for that? You're pro cop too? No, all right, cool. Those guys. You're MP where? Fort Drum, New York. Porter County. All right. I think you guys are to the left of me. If you watch the show, it all makes sense, right? Oh, that was a smart one. That was you don't get it. No, that's all right. I'm sure you're all right. What's your name, like Ryan or Hank? Ryan. Nothing's real. Everything is simulation. Ours is mine. Oh, you're a good sport. Go fuck yourself. You did sneak in with like a CIA accuracy. All right, that's enough of you. It's my 15 minutes. This is my time. I travel a lot. I do comedy full time, but I'm not famous, so I got to stay in these dog shit motels. Come on, it makes it worse. Always the rich that are, right? I'm just assuming, man. I'm just trying to keep up. There's something to lament this as you're saying. Picked up on the fly. Also, psychics are alive too. Just in case you were wondering, I was a psychic for 12 years. Yeah, I got to stay in these terrible locales. I was doing gigs in New Hampshire. That's a dog shit place. We should get rid of it. Personally, that's just what I think. Did you do something about that? No? All right. Good for it. Want to hear any antidepressants? Okay, you legally can't be. It's just like a thing. All right, who knows that they're on antidepressants? Yeah, a couple people over here. I wouldn't admit it because this is not therapy. And as you see, I'm something of a scoundrel. So I will make fun of you. That's good, man. I get this a lot. My guy friends, they always do this to me. Well, you shouldn't be taking antidepressants, don't you know? The side effects, they mess with your sex drive. And I'm like, honestly, you can have it. I don't give a shit. My sex is driving nowhere. I'm already sad. So I'm not coming regardless. Like sad boys in the room. Sad boys in the room. You ever try to rub one out? Depressed? Yeah. It's a labor, right? It's like you're working on a Go-Gurt, son. You had to do that at basic training, which I'm sure was a nightmare. Now go for the ladies, sad girls. Sad girls. You ever try to do whatever you're up to?